There are apps to do just about anything. I know there's one I love where you can point it at a singing bird and it'll tell you pretty closely and pretty accurately what the bird is. You, I'm sure, have some of your own. So what if there was something for the mind that you could choose? You could have it on your home screen, and you needed, all right, I need a little more confidence. All right, I want to contact my internal power. I would love some more Aphrodite energy in me right now. Or where's my Viking? What if you had a home screen with apps that you could tap into those parts of yourself whenever you wanted to? There is an app like that, and it's inside of you, and it's called your consciousness, what I call your Eidetic consciousness. It's your deep, deep consciousness. And I think it's really wonderful to know how to contact it. So today, that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk a little bit about how to contact it and different ways that you can contact it and some stories. So this is the Art of Transformation. I'm Wendy Yellen. And if you haven't already liked and subscribed, please do. It really helps me to reach other people like you. What gave me the idea for today's video was I was talking to one of my private clients who faced a situation that would be really difficult for anyone. And she was really, really proud of herself because she did it with so much more ease and grace and power and centeredness and self-assurance that was flowing from her very organically. And she was so pleased. So not only did it happen, but she was actually able to acknowledge it in herself. So both those parts were a really big deal. And some of the things that were coming up for her were power, strength, clarity, being able to stand her ground, knowing that she'd really put thought, energy, and effort into the decisions that she was making, and she was able to explain them and validate why she did them and to feel comfortable even though people were going to question her about them, rightfully so. It was a really tough situation, and she sailed through it. I want to look at one thing. She sailed through it. And then she realized that the part of her that has been waiting for the other shoe to drop, the part of her that is operating behind the scenes and inside of her and can't enjoy a victory or a win inside herself because the other shoe is going to drop, and she's been thinking of that's true her whole life. She realized that part of her was so quiet now. It was still there, and so we were working on that, but it had massively shifted and massively subsided in her to the point where it was one of the first times she actually realized it had been there, because the absence of it was so different. Now, she, particularly because of who she is, really understands the power of and the beauty of what's happening to her. Let's just have a little fun about this. So let's say one of the things that I love about working with people eidetically is pretty much, knock wood, pretty much no matter what somebody comes to me with, I can find a way in using Eidetics. I can find a way to support, not just support them, though of course that, but to help them move through it and, very importantly, get to a better, freer, stronger, more powerful, more gracious part of themselves. And I think that's amazing. It's like, oh, I have an app for that. And I credit Dr. Akhtar Asen, who created this work of Eidetics and who was my teacher and mentor and my friend. To me, he was amazing. What the power that he unleashed to the world of our own minds is incredible, and it's a crime that it isn't better known. But you are finding out about it, so good for you. And I'm really, really hoping that what I put together for you on these vlogs and so forth is that you're able to apply it and that you're using it. So, for example, if someone is encountering a situation where you are feeling overpowered by someone, one of the many ways of working with that, I showed you in a different video about vivid and vague. Now, I want to say that Eidetics isn't cookie cutter. And when I'm working with someone, I'm very much working with their mind and the images that will help them. And that said, our minds work similarly in the way that they get over aggravated by situations, taken over by situations where we can't get ourselves out of the circular wheel that we're in. And so there are images that can help with that kind of overall trajectory that you might be on. There's an app for when someone else's energy, personality, the way they trigger you, the way they trigger your history, that you can instantly actually flip that if you're willing, and you'll actually try the image. So that's one. I'm looking at my notes here. Another one, I have an app for that, came through with a client. Actually, this was a person thinking about working with me, and she'd done an image on her own in which she was continuing to collapse and lose her energy. And so she called me so we could have a conversation about possibly working together. And when we did the image together, I was able to help her work beyond the place where she started to collapse inside of herself. And instead, she got to the empowered, strong part of herself. And she said, I've always known I had this part of me, but I've never seen it in relationship to this kind of situation, because this particular situation has depressed me and diminished me for my whole adult life. And she said, it's so great to actually feel this part of me in relationship to this really tough situation that had to do with her family and abuse in her family. So there's an app for contacting other parts of you that you suspect were there, but haven't been in touch with, or were only in touch with in other areas of your life. For example, maybe you are very good at work, but relationships, not so much. And so you know that you have a really effective part of yourself, and a part of yourself that's thoughtful and creative and strong, but the way it comes out in relationships just ain't working for you. So there's an app for that. There's an app to contact these different aspects of yourself that you either know are there and have seen in other areas, or didn't know were there, but wished or hoped maybe you could find them. What about contacting pure energy and strength and power that you can feel all the way up from your legs, all the way up through your heart, through your chest, through your shoulders, through your face, through your expression, through your words, through your presence. What if you could contact that power, that strength in yourself? Not by faking it, but by accessing it, from where it already is waiting inside of you. Well, there's an app for that. What if you feel like you don't matter and that nothing you do matters? And yes, you move through life and you're committed and creative and thoughtful and hopeful at times. But no matter what happens, there's some part of you that comes back to, I don't matter. A lot of that comes from repeated experience of that when you're younger. And the app that I have for that Eidetics has for you, has to do with getting below the crust of your history. So you've got the history and the memories of the history and the way your parents were, or the way you remember them, which may be different from the way they were. And so the mind expects certain results. The mind expects that we're going to feel certain ways. The neural pathways in the mind expect or continue to go down a certain direction in certain ways, in certain sequences, from lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of firing across those neural pathways. And so the mind is going to tend to go this way. And when I say the mind, I don't mean like your intellect, but I mean your thinking, your feelings, your expectations, how much love you can take in, how much you can appreciate and actually feel good about things. All of those things, there are pathways that you've gone down over and over and over and over again. And that's neurologically, as I see it, the crust of your history. But there are other pathways, the organic way you came in before your history. Maybe the parts of you that came through but got tamped down and squashed, and those neural pathways now have all kinds of brambles and twigs and half-grown bushes, but the pathway's still there. So what the app of Eidetics, what it does is it doesn't tell you, okay, walk over there, because it's not so easy because this one is so strong. But instead, this part of your mind, the eidetic imagery consciousness part of your mind, as you watch an image, you're not thinking about it, you're watching it. As you watch this image, the reason my clients say it feels like my brain is being rewired right now is because the image is almost taking you by the hand down this other pathway, and the bushes start to look smaller and the pathway becomes clearer, and you start to feel things inside yourself that you didn't know or had forgotten were there, or maybe hoped were there, but were no longer sure, or if you were ever sure. That's the app of Eidetics. That's the direction it takes you. That's the you that it takes you to. That's why almost no matter what, when someone comes up with something, I have something in the Eidetic app toolbox that can help my clients either feel more empowered, or freer or more creative, or soften that I don't matter, or soften that groove of intense expecting the other shoe to drop. And this is not some magical pie in the sky idea. I see it constantly every single day when I'm working with my clients and for myself. And it's only possible because it's already in you. It's already there. I think the reason that I'm talking to you about this is I really want you to know that this part of you exists. And it exists in you not because there's something unique about you, although there probably are quite a few things unique about you, but because you're human. And this is how we're wired. We're wired to go down this pathway over and over and over again, especially when we are using our thinking mind only, or if we're drowning in our feelings. But this side is here too. It's just that most people don't know yet how to get there. You don't have to be or do anything different to yourself. Just let the images take you down the road of yourself. I hope that this has been valuable to you and that you have a little bit of a concept of the different apps that are inside you already, the different ways that you can access beautiful, beautiful parts of yourself. Again, I hope that was really helpful, and I'll see you on the next recording. Bye for now.